Power family, Will Robbins here, back with our Athlete Empowered Players of the Week. We have co-players of the week this week. We have a special edition as we ended our indoor and we kind of went into our beach season for the end of the summer. We have Miss Kristin Bobay and Sophia Barber, two of our top beach players here in the club, and they got the opportunity to go down and play against the national team development program. All the top players on the national team for USA Volleyball were down there and got to represent the first Hoosier region high performance beach team, and got to go down and play against all the other high performance teams throughout the region and the national team kids down in Fort Lauderdale. And so, just give me kind of just a quick, overview. What was the event like? And tell me about the event.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to get the experience to go down there. You're playing against the top players in the U.S., so they're training all week. You get to go down there and just fight your best to compete with all of them.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think about the event?
It was really fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. What about that heat? That heat down there, and humidity. Is it dying?
A little bit.
A little bit?
It was bad when it rained, and then after it gets super humid.
Super humid. Well, yeah, and also the national team kids were down there for 3 days beforehand in training. And so I know, being down there battling the heat, and I actually got to be one of the national team coaches and being able to coach them for those first 3 days. I know that the sand got hot. It was up to 140 degrees there was one day. So sand socks, I know, were important. And then, just the humidity, made it hard to breathe. And then, obviously just the sun beating down on you in the beach tournament. And so you guys had the 3 days of the tournament afterwards. I know just as a coach, coaching those first 3 days, it was tough. It was hot. I had to shower in between sessions. I was so drenched in sweat. So tell me just, how does the heat and, that humidity, how'd you notice that affected you in your game as you were playing?
Yeah, the heat definitely does take a toll on you. It kind of drains you out more and everything, but that's just something you train up for. You have to work through it and push. Fight till your best.
How do you prepare for that heat and humidity? How do you prepare for a beach tournament? What are a couple things you do?
Just training and getting ready.
Getting ready. And probably proper hydration, drinking plenty of fluids, eating healthy. And so, yes, there was the 3 days of camp, then the 3 days of the high performance championships. You guys got to play. You played with your teammate from Tennessee. You got to play with one of your teammates from Indianapolis, and go down there. And you were in the U19, you were in the U15, and got to play against some of the best teams in the country. What are just a couple things that you took away from that event that you noticed, like, wow, playing the highest level players, this is what I noticed. They did well, or I did well, or I need to work on to really be able to compete and be able to fight to try to win a national championship at the next HP championships next year.
Yeah, I mean, you out there, and they're top D1 commits and everything, so they're a lot smarter than some of the people around here. They train all week in hot weather, wind, and everything. So just being smart with them and trying to find the spots. You have to make things harder and quicker than some people you do here.
Yeah, but
they just worked really well together, and they always got everything out.
Yeah, and I feel like that's all the way up to the professional level is, the more that you play, the more that you train, the more time in the sand, the more polished you are, and the more you get to train with a teammate, the more you understand each other, you balance the court, you work well together. And so, yeah, that's what I feel like the top teams do really well is they're just really smart, they're polished, they have good vision, they communicate well, and they really work together to really balance the court and, and have great strategies to be able to pick apart other teams. And I know it's tough coming from the Midwest where we have amazing talent on the indoor side, but just not as many kids really focusing on beach like you guys have. And so I know that's difficult, finding partners and trying to find other high-level beach kids to be able to play with. And that's obviously why you played with different people, down at the HP championships. I mean, I guess tell me a little bit about maybe some of the teams or some of the people you've played with this season, just so you could go and play the higher level tournaments. And what's that like finding a beach partner to go play tournaments with?
Yeah, I played with a lot of people, some from Kansas City, Ohio, just all around, and it just, you have to bring up different levels. You have to work with the people because you don't know what they like, they don't know what you like, so you just have to talk a lot and just work with them.
Try to figure out as quick as you can a good strategy, you know, at the tournament the day of.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's kind of hard at first, but then it ends up being really fun.
Yeah. And it is tough. I mean, having to play with kids from different clubs and from around the country, and not being able to train together, and obviously being able to polish as a team and really get to know each other. But it is nice because, you know, playing with different kids, you know, you get to make new friends, you know, you get plugged into different networks throughout the volleyball community, and that's ultimately what I love about volleyball in general, but especially the beach community. It is a big, fun-loving community where eventually you'll know people all across the country, and you'll be able to go to a tournament anywhere in the country and be able to know people, be able to find partners, and just have a huge sense of community and really feel plugged in to the rest of the beach community and the greater volleyball community. And so I think you guys are kind of at the forefront, and that's why I'm excited to see you guys continue to branch out, play bigger tournaments, travel more, play with different partners, kind of get out of your comfort zone. You know, because you're making friends, you know, you're building a big beach network, girls you'll play with in college, girls you may play with down the road professionally. But also, you know, it teaches you from a beach standpoint and a game standpoint how to be able to adapt your game to whatever your partner needs. And so sometimes you may be the blocker, sometimes you might be the defender, sometimes you're split blocking. And so it helps round out your whole game. So I guess that leads into, what do you think, playing with different partners, what have you noticed in your own game that you really kind of developed this year with playing with different partners, or just as you mature in the game and get more reps and spend more time in the sand? What's been probably your biggest improvement?
I focused a lot more on defense because as younger I was one of the taller ones, and now everyone's like evening out, so I've focused a lot more on playing defense instead, so staying put. And yeah.
And you cover a lot more court on the beach than indoor. You got a little 5x5 indoor, and you got a half to 3/4 of a court on the beach.
Playing with different people definitely has helped me talk more.
Getting you to communicate more. Now you're just a social butterfly, just talking all the time. Yeah, it does. It helps you get out of your shell, you know, and as you make more friends and you learn. Obviously, you have to communicate in the game, but especially in beach with new partners, you got to over-communicate to really get on the same page. And then talking a little bit about differences of beach and indoor. You know, tell me what's it been like playing defense on the beach compared to playing defense on the indoor side, or even just attacking? You know, what's a little bit different from beach to indoor that you've learned in time?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot different just with the sand. Like, it may slow you down a little bit, and you have so much more court to like fill up. You don't have someone playing defense with you right next to you, and so it's just a lot more of like waiting, being patient, and like exploding to it. So.
Reading a lot more.
Yeah.
You really have to read the hitters and anticipate more.
Yeah.
What about you?
You can't jump very much in the sand, so it's a big difference when you go play indoor after playing sand.
Yeah, for sure. You come from the indoor and you're jumping high, bouncing balls, and then all of a sudden, you feel like you've lost, you know, half of your vertical when you go to the sand. And so, but I think that's a good thing, because then it forces you to have more vision, have more range on your shots. And if you can take that back to the indoor side with that range and that vision, it just makes you an even better indoor player. So I guess let's talk about that from the flip side. What have you noticed from your beach game and training more on the beach and traveling more? How has it helped your indoor game? And I know you're beach only now and freshly committed to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Let's give her a hand. But you still do a little bit of indoor, and I'm sure we'll rope you into playing a little bit with the 18s this year again. And so, what have you learned and used on the indoor that you learned from the beach?
I think mainly indoor is a lot of like hitting hard and everything, but I think bringing over from beach, you can use your shots, and like I feel like I can see this like court more and jump higher and hit. So just being smarter on the court.
What about you?
It's helped me with my reading on defense, knowing where the ball's gonna go.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the biggest thing I push is reading on defense, because now you cover half to 3/4 of a court, so you really got to be in tune to where the set is, the angle of approach, shoulders, hand, and also be more aggressive, because you know, usually on the indoor side, you guys are always looking at each other. Is that your ball? Is that my ball? And that hesitation, you're not your beat. Where on the beach, you know, every ball that you can get to is your ball, and you just got to go. So yeah, it definitely does help your defensive aggressiveness, where when you go back to indoor, you feel like, this is a piece of cake. This is all I got to cover. Yeah, no, that's all good information. And so yeah, with the finishes, you know, down at Fort Lauderdale, you guys had respectable finishes playing against, you know, the top teams, and a lot of these kids are going to go off to represent, you know, Team USA. Yeah. I think the next tournament's in Indonesia. And so you got to play against these top kids, and you both had good finishes, ended up over 500, knocked off some big teams, and honestly represented extremely well. And I think, you know, helped to continue to prove to the rest of the beach community throughout the country that, you know, we've got some great beach players here in the Midwest, and, you know, it's just a matter of time before more of our big indoor studs kind of make that transition to the beach. And, you know, once they learn the beach game, you know, then yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of top kids coming out of the Midwest. And I think you guys are, you know, right there at the forefront. You know, we had Kate Novak, was Indiana's first to come out of Indiana and play, and she's now just graduated Georgia State. And I feel like you guys are, you know, carrying the torch and the mantle forward from what Kate started. And yeah, I'm excited to watch you guys go on to play in college. You know, you have a few more years, and we'll see what the next few years look like, whether you end up going beach, indoor, or whether you maybe do both. But I'm excited to watch you guys, and I'm just super proud of you guys and how much you've developed over the last few years, and, you know, excited to look forward to what you're going to accomplish here in the future and in your college and your high school career. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, your Empowered Athlete Players of the Week, your Hoosier Region High Performance Beach team over here is Sophia Barber and Kristin Bobay. Blur out the person's face because it's like a confidential informant.
I'll be like, I don't give you consent to put my face on it. It's just like a blob.
It's just a blurred face.
It's like a sticker on my head.